will be doing a piece of music for you. It's called Ta Bahar Delneshin, and it was composed by Maestro Khaleqi in 1951 and sung by Ghulam Hussein Banan, and it was played on the Iranian national TV that day, and that building was attacked by the Israeli Air Force, I think earlier this morning. I'm not sure. So that's the on live air. So that's the story of our lives these days.
I can assure you, after 12 years, yes, doors are open, but the title was, those doors are too heavy for us. So I'm asking you tonight, think about it and try to open one door to a refugee and immigrant person in your neighborhood, in your life.
In January 2012, my husband got a threat call because he was working with the US government in Iraq for more than 5 years. And after that call, we found out that this is the moment that we really need to take it seriously and to leave our country. I'm a person who's really connected to my country, to my family, to my history. And deep in my heart, I knew this will be a difficult change in my life. I had to prove myself twice at any job that I have done since I came from Iraq. I think most of refugees, they struggle in the same way. There's a level that we cannot really pass. Today, I'm standing before you as the founder of ML International. It's a nonprofit where we bring hope and transformation for the refugee families and underserved families too, here in Chicago and across the MENA region. And do you remember the alteration store that I worked in when I came as a surviving job? I own it now. And as a small business owner, my vision is to create opportunities for women, to empower them, and to make them thrive and make an income. Instead of waiting for someone to offer me a seat on the table, I just decided to build my own. My journey taught me that hope is not just a feeling. Hope is a decision that I need to make every day to keep moving forward. Thank you so much.
You'll see these bird motifs that are flying up. And these symbolize the acts of dreaming and hoping, something we do as immigrants and refugees. And the background is illuminated by light, which symbolizes dreams and goals that we're trying to reach. And though you might not see it on the projection, that light has some trouble getting through because it's obscured by many layers of tissue. And each of these layers symbolizes barriers that we might have to overcome to reach our light. 2, the piece is designed to move with whatever's happening in the room. So if you walk by it, because it's so light and tissuey, it might ebb and flow with whatever's happening around it. And that's because if you're an immigrant or refugee, you might find yourself at the whim of forces beyond your control. But the real inspiration for my piece is a form of folk art from my part of Poland, the Northeast. It's called wycinanki, which is paper cutouts, as you see in so many cultures in the world. And some of these silhouettes are cut out to allow more of that light to shine through. And that light symbolizes my culture and my family history, which I so often rely on to illuminate my path as things get difficult. And so when I constructed this piece, I realized it's not just my story. It's actually just my story is a part of a legacy of generations of incredible women who traversed continents and crossed oceans to bring their family to safety, to reach their goals and their dreams. And so maybe when you look at this piece, whether here or outside, you might think it's pretty or attractive or haunting or interesting, or maybe in the grand scheme of human stories, not that remarkable at all. And whenever I reflect on my story, I think all of those things sometimes at the same time. But maybe too, as you look at this piece, you might see your story, because so many of us are trying to work through barriers and find our light. But we find it difficult, and we have things we lean on to illuminate our path. And so maybe when you reflect on this piece and the stories it represents in your story, you might find that even if someone is from a distant land and maybe doesn't look like you or sound like you, they're actually not that different from you at all.
So as I mentioned, my mother is Black American, so she is the descendant of people who were forcibly migrated to the US, kidnapped, displaced, and brought to a new land, changed our names, changed our language. But something that always sticks with me is the story of the women who would braid seeds into their hair before they made that journey. And that to me is such a radical, profound way of preserving culture and stories, not knowing what would be the next step, not knowing what they would endure and face, but still saying, let's keep these seeds so we can hopefully grow a future, a hopeful future. And that's part of what I tried to reflect in my art piece, was that connection to land and to space.
I was in my apartment for days, crying, and just thinking that I do not belong here. But then something amazing happened. My sister, who lives in Houston, she came to visit me, and she dragged me to go on the Chicago architecture tour. She was like, "You have to come, you live in the city, how have you still not been to that tour?" And so I went. And when I was on that tour, I will be very honest, I looked at the city from a very different point of view. And it showed me two sides of Chicago. One, from the outside, that can be tall and overbearing, but there is another side of Chicago that flows steady and gentle like the river. And maybe that gave me the confidence to feel that I can be who I want to be. The city is welcoming to everyone.
I think that as my parents got ready for what was to come, they were a little bit uncertain about staying here, but they chose to stay, and they overstayed their visas. And one day, as my dad was on his way to work, he was at a bus stop when he was approached by INS agents. They asked him where his green card was. They wanted to see his green card. So my father told them that he had left it in the apartment. And really, he just said that because he wanted my mother to know what was happening. He wanted to make sure that she knew where he was going. They were in the apartment, and as he gathered his belongings, the agents heard a baby cry. and that baby was me. One of them spoke Spanish. He was Cuban. He asked my mom and dad, where was this baby born? And when they said that I had just been born in Chicago at Mother Cabrini Hospital, his demeanor changed, and he basically said, you have nothing to worry about. You have a US-born child. You have a pathway to get a green card. My dad was detained for a few weeks, but my mom got to stay in that apartment with me until they sorted things out. And that agent even gave them the card to an immigration lawyer, and they were able to become legal permanent residents and then naturalized citizens. And as I think about that story, can you imagine that happening now? That a federal agent would be kind and give you the tools and the resources to find your path to stay in this country.